Man, they have a good stereo in their car. Alright, so doing a video because I can and I don't have anything better to do. It's like 3 in the morning. Topic of this video is going to be regrets, and I have compiled a short list of 3 major regrets. And pause for editing. So I'll let you look at the bike while I do my little testimonial on regrets. Team GoProChicken. Okay, well that'll nice little segue into the first regret, which is when I was 15 years old, 10th grade. I was struggling as a student and a person, and went to a really good college prep high school, and I had a tremendous opportunity, kind of a fork in the road, where I had my biology teacher trying to get me to join the crew team, the rowing team, because I had a really strong back. I surfed a lot living at the beach, and I mean, these are hardly regrets, because it's like I don't feel like I really had a choice. If I could go back, if I could go back being who I am now and knowing what I know, if you could transplant my brain into my 15-year-old body, But if I had just instead of wanting to go home and surf after school, if I had just like joined the crew team, asked for help with my studies and whatnot, asked for people to help me out because I was falling behind, and graduated from the Stanton College Prep School in Jacksonville. I could have gone on to college, got a scholarship for college. Well, whatever. It's already at 2 minutes for the video, so I'm trying to keep it under 5 minutes. But I mean, talking about Team GoProChicken, if I had been able to do that back then and have a high-paying job now, or started a business or whatever, maybe I could actually have my my Team GoProChicken motorcycle racing team by now. I'm 40 years old, just turned 40 in July. Okay, so for the number 2 regret, we'll study the other side of the motorcycle. And second regret, a couple years later, was probably just starting to smoke cigarettes. I was very impacted by music. Back in the day, there was grunge was a big thing with Nirvana and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. I was a big Alice in Chains fan. Megadeth, I used to listen to a lot of Megadeth. And on my bus ride to school, in the 10th grade mainly, but I'm probably on my way to my demise, because I smoke like a pack to 2 packs a day of cigarettes, and it's mainly because of my job delivering. It's hard to not to when I'm on the road in my car for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. Gets me through. But if I hadn't started back when I was, I think I was 17 at the time, and I'll tell you why or how I got started in smoking cigarettes is, one, I hung out with a guy, my friend's younger brother, who smoked cigarettes. We were the surf skate crowd, bicycle, BMX surfing and skating crowd back in the day around the beach. And it was just the era. That was before the whole anti-smoking campaign stuff going on. I mean, shoot, you could still smoke in restaurants and stuff back then. But I'll tell you what, though, I remember, because I was into music, I was starting out on my path to become a musician. I figured that's what I wanted to do, since I love music so much. Well, I remember seeing a Stone Temple Pilots video on MTV back when they used to play rock music, and in the video, Dean DeLeo, one of my favorite guitar players in the video, was smoking a cigarette, you know, and so I was like, you know, I was just about to form a garage band and everything. I was like, well, I wonder if maybe if I started smoking cigarettes, my singing voice might become a little more raspy or whatever, you know. I mean, just rationalizing it, you know. And because I hung out with a smoker or a couple smokers, you know, it was only a matter of time before I gave it a try myself. And, you know, so that's regret number 2. This video is going to be super long. Hopefully, too bad I'm not doing like a live video where you could suggest what angle of the bike you want to look at. Here's the front. It's not, doesn't seem like much to look at. We'll go back around to the other side. And then my my third regret, major regret, was in my 20s. You know, it was 10 years into pursuing music, and I was finally had a good friend who was a singer-songwriter, very talented guy. We finally found a good bass player and drummer, and we were practicing and stuff. And I had never played on stage before, and I don't know if you'd call it stage fright. I wasn't really scared, but I had anxiety issues to where my hand would cramp up. I couldn't really pick my guitar very well in front of crowds of people. And the first show that they were going to do was a big one at a major venue, and I had them give me a CD copy of the recording of the rhythm guitar and then playing. I was on the electric lead guitar, by the way, and man, I rented a storage unit and spent like 8 hours almost every night coming up with like my masterpiece of guitar work that I was going to put with the songs that we had. And you know, I understand I was very naive at the time. I didn't have any performance experience. I just had experience playing with friends and whatnot, you know, and practicing my ass off for all those years at home and whatnot. But I knew without a doubt that once I got up on that stage, there was no way I would be able to clearly play what I was coming up with for the songs we had written. And you know, I was like, by then, it's 10 years later, I'm just like, I'm noticing things like, you know, older musicians, and I didn't really want to turn out, you know, I knew it was like swimming upstream the whole time, so I didn't want to, like, I knew I wasn't naturally talented at it, and I wasn't really enjoying it anymore. Not that I ever really did. I just kind of wanted the end result. So I just told him, I was like, you know what, I'm done with it. You know, and I remember their first show at the major venue, Club 5 downtown in Riverside, Jacksonville. I remember sitting in the crowd with one of our other buddies watching them play on the stage. And I felt like such a freaking loser, and I still do every time I think about it. But luckily later on, I went on to form another band years later after I had given it up. Supposedly, one of my coworkers found out I played guitar and he played bass, and before I know it, we got drummers and songs, and went out and started playing shows, a couple shows a month for a couple years. It was good to get that out of the way, but I didn't really enjoy it under the circumstances because I was working nights and struggling, you know, with stuff. So my work schedule didn't really complement what we were doing with the band, and plus there was some other issues too. But so I ended up, after a couple of years, I just gave my 2-week notice, and that was that. So that's my little testimonial subject for the video. Just something I was inspired to do before I left the house. So we're in St. Augustine, about 45 minutes away south of Jacksonville Beach, at a 7-Eleven gas station. And I'll end the video with a little music of a different kind, just to kind of enhance the boring video a little bit. Austin Racing.